It doesn't matter. It's just business. I'm not on the roof swinging a hammer. Why would I swing a hammer? I would suck at that. I would cut the board all kinds of weird ways and it would never fit. That's not my strength. So you take strengths and weaknesses. And I want to hone my own skill set to where I'm focused on my strengths, not my weaknesses. So when I bring somebody into, I don't care what company it is, we may have somebody and I employed them for the construction company. We're building a house and I find out that he's better at marketing. I'm sucking him over here into the marketing department. It doesn't matter. Put people where they're going to flourish and then help them grow that.
Hi everyone, this is Joshua Hoffman and Alex Garashenko, and welcome to another episode of the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast, where we deconstruct the why and how agency owners found their success, and in Season 4, understand how we can provide referrals to our guests and how they can help other agencies. Today I have Rusty Dycus, the CEO of Old School Marketing, a marketing firm that is redefining the landscape of customer engagement by providing unparalleled marketing solutions that stand as a bedrock supporting your brand strategy goals. Welcome, Rusty.
How we doing?
Hey, thanks for having us.
Good. You know, I'm going to actually, before we get into it, I'm going to complain that you did the digital background because a lot of times people have like art and books and everything, and that's like what I grab onto to like talk about. And did you have a whole bookshelf behind you?
I do.
Oh, I mean,
I can undo the background for you here.
It's totally your call, but I thought you had a great background before. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
This is a great
background.
Up to you.
There we go.
To you. But where I do want to start is actually chronologically in your life and go back to the first business that you started at age 10. So can you tell us a little bit about that and if you learned anything from it that you brought to your business today?
So age 10, we just moved to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, which is a tourist town. And my parents bought a restaurant and I was the delivery boy. So I'm running up and down the streets of Eureka Springs, sweating. I'm this big, fat, chubby kid. And I got sweat coming down my sweat. And I'm walking in and all the old people love me because I show up with their food and I've always got a smile on my face and I'm always sweating. And they always tip me really well. And I made so much money that mom and dad, they looked at me and they were like, dude, there's like days that you make more money on tips than we do in the restaurant business. And so they didn't like that too much. But one day I'm sitting here, I'm chucking down the road and I look over in the park and there's all kinds of tourists in the park. And I'm like, what can I sell them? And so I got dreaming and I went home and I employed my brother and we started making pet rocks. And we put little eyes on them and mouths and all kinds of things. And then I went into the park and I started peddling my pet rocks for $0.25 a piece to the tourists. And of course, the tourists, they're going to buy from me. I'm the little kid, they're not going to say no to $0.25. And I sold out every time I hit down the streets. And that was my first business opportunity. I tell you, between the restaurant and pet rocks, here was the big takeaway. The big takeaway is this: there are no strangers. Don't be afraid. Get out there and talk to people. I don't care if we're selling solar, you're selling a roof, you're selling insurance. I don't care what it is that you're selling. You can't be afraid. You just get out there and start talking to people, and they love to talk. They love to talk to little kids, but they love to tell you their story. They love to tell you what's going on. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Get out there and have a conversation. And I learned that at 10.
Good advice.
Let me add to that too, because something that I kind of did for myself in helping me like talk to people, and I may have said this before, but I always think that everyone's like compensating for who they were in high school. And I think therefore everyone is kind of still their high school self. They're just like, maybe some small improvements here and there. So I always like look at everyone. It's not even like something I consciously do anymore, but I look at everyone and I'm just talking to the high school version of yourself, and anyone can talk to like a high schooler. So I don't know. It just brought a lot more comfort into being able to talk to people is just viewing them as their high school self.
Yeah, I like that.
One thing to add there. And then, okay, so my understanding is then by age 12, you started another company with your dad mowing lawns. And then you already mentioned, delivering food for your parents' restaurant. So now when I looked at your LinkedIn, you have about 15 different businesses that you've either started or been CEO for. So do you think that those two things were related at all?
What two things?
As in having these, like, doing so much as a kid, starting two companies, doing all this stuff, and now wanting to start, a bunch of other companies.
I would say no. I would say from the younger self to now, no, I never had that dream. It was never part of the plan. I didn't have a plan. I was at basically one of my first companies I ever worked for. I was there for 23 years. I was vice president of sales and marketing and ran half the company. Absolutely loved it. But from that, when I got bored, that's when I left and I started a company. And I ran out and I became an Allstate insurance agent. And I'm sure this is something that we're supposed to talk about later. But when I was there, it was just a natural flow because my Allstate company was failing. And I invented a new idea of how to do marketing for this insurance agency. And I did it. We shut down the entire office for 2 months flat. We hand wrote 25,000 mailers a month. And we put quotes in them. We shipped them out the door. Long story short, it saved my company. And I was like, hey, this is cool. This worked and it saved my company. Maybe it'll save somebody else. And so I picked up the phone, sold some more to my buddies. And then that's how we started Old School Marketing. And through that, I've always had this itch. I don't know why, but it's like an internal thing. It's like, I just want to own it and run it better. I want to go do it. I like owning things and I like building things, and it's built into me. It's just the way I'm made. And so that's the way I look at everything. So I'm always looking at how can I get into a new piece of property? How do I buy something more? How do I make that into something new that's going to make the town better or people better? How can I employ good people that need a job and want to go do better? That's how I've created all this. Even the companies that you see now. I mean, like my Kings River Tiny Homes is a good example. We've got 8 people on staff and we build tiny homes all over town. And there's a big need for it because there's no affordable housing in our little town. But I'm employing the right people. And so all of this, even my solar company, I don't care, pick one of the companies. It usually comes down from, cool, I can do that too. And this will be fun. And then I go build it and grow it or buy it. And I just end up with more stuff. And it's not like I'm trying to build some big multi-million-dollar Rusty organization. I don't care. Honestly, money is not that appealing to me. To me, money is like a brick. I'm looking at money and it's a brick. And how do I take that brick and put concrete on top of it and put another brick on top of that and make something fun with it? So that's all money is to me. It's just a tool. It's a material and I need it to make more. So anyway, that's a long, weird way of answering your question.
No, I want to keep going in. But like, I get that, but why so many companies at one time instead of maybe like selling the existing business and then starting something new?
Why would I sell them when they're profitable? I'm running them well. It's going well. I like the people that are there. What's the point? Why would I sell it? I don't understand the thought, really. Why do you need to vacate when you can operate all of it? So so rule of thumb, one person, one human, we can only do so much, period. We've only got 40 to 80 hours a week, depends on who you are and what your appetite for work is. And I'm all over the place, but the truth is I'm the same way. I still only have the same amount of time that you have, Josh or Alex. We only have so much time. So let's say I want to pick up a new company, which I'm working on 2 more right now. And they'll probably come into existence and I'll turn them into a profitable company within 1 year. Why? Because I enjoy doing it. Why would I sell my companies to go start another one? No, the objective is you've got to find the right people to put in the seats. The end. And sometimes those people are employees, other times they're partners. And you got to put together your team to help you, the individual, be successful where you are. So I'll give you a really good case example here, a case study. So I go home, and you're going to think I'm selfish when I say this, but this is how I operate my whole life. I go home. I'm tired. I put in my 60, 80 hours a week. I'm tired. Well, I have kids at home. What do I not want to do? Well, I don't want to take out the trash. I'm not doing dishes. Why? Because I've already put in my time. So I've subcontracted the trash and the dishes to my boys, which absolutely hate it. It doesn't matter to me because that's their job in the house and as part of the functions of the family. And they support me and my wife just like we support them. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Well, in business, it's the same way. So if I'm failing, which I am right now, I mean, I'm in a scenario right this minute that I'm personally failing. I can't be CEO enough of these companies and answer all the questions quick enough. There's just literally not enough of me at this moment in time, but I'm shoring it up. So I've hired an administrative assistant. I've got more managers now on staff. There are things that I'm putting in place because I'm always the weakness. So when I see a problem in my companies, I'm always looking at myself. Most of the time, the failure comes from me. So everything rises and falls with leadership. If I could teach you to anything, it is that case study right there. If there's a problem in your company, if there's something that's not going wrong, Alex, look at yourself because we're the problem. Every time we didn't say the right thing, we didn't motivate the people correctly, we weren't measuring the right things, we didn't employ enough of the right people to move us down the track where we need to be. So I'm always looking at these scenarios. I made a major decision 20 minutes ago, and I'm moving teams and members around in order to accomplish a better goal, but I was the problem. So I went and fixed myself. And so that would be my answer to that question. I don't need to sell companies. I need to employ more people. I find that the people that are greedy, that are just trying to hoard cash and pull everything into themselves, and they don't give it away, you're going to fail. Today, in general, be kind to people, give your money away, employ the right people, and you'll be really surprised what people will do for you. And so that's kind of my personal approach to everything that I do. I'm not greedy. In fact, I've got people on my staff that make more money than I do. I'm completely good with that. I love that. I don't need money like they do. It doesn't function the same way for me. And I've got plenty of companies that feed me. I don't need one company to pay me some big CEO salaries. I'd rather give to somebody else because they're going to make something bigger and better. And I like that. So where's your heart?
Mindset. Yeah. In all the companies that you have, is there a common thread or a common role that you play in those companies? Because they all seem so different.
Yes. Well, old school marketing, we're very unique in a lot of ways. And that probably is because of me and a lot of things that I do. My strengths are finance. I'm a finance guru, love it and eat it, breathe it. Business leadership, marketing, and then sales. And so I'm a CMO for a lot of companies all over the US. I actually build their strategy. I compact everything into one big, nice umbrella. Sometimes old school does some of the work. Other times we don't. So I'll give you an example. I just bought part of Homestar Solar in roofing, and we pulled that into the company. Well, what are we doing? Well, I run the finance. I run the business. I run the marketing. I'm leading the team. I'm the CEO. I'm running the company. I've got a president. He's on the front line. He's helping me do the quoting for the solar panels, installing the roofs. I've got a general manager that's helping with the quoting and everything else. But what am I doing? My core strengths. And I tell you this, where do most companies fail today? They fail in this: business leadership, finance, and marketing. If you look at the majority of small business owners, they just want to go drill teeth. They just want to go sell insurance. They don't want to have to deal with QuickBooks and the dang government and all the taxes and making sure I've got enough funding for this. And where's the money coming from? Do I have enough cash flow coming into the company? Am I marketing things correctly? Do I have the right offer and the right sales techniques built into everything? And so that's what old school does. We come in, we grab company X, and we turn them around. We move them from where they were to where they've never been. And I just so happen to have a direct mail company. We have our own CRM. I have my own team. We have strategic tax accountants. I have grant writers on staff. We don't do things normal. for a very good reason, because I'm helping so many other companies go and grow. And so that's some of that.
My last question on this then is, do your businesses work together in any way, or like share customers or anything like that?
Yes. Depends on what we're doing. Okay, so what was the first question? Do we share customers?
Do the businesses work together? Do they share customers? Yeah.
So old school is the backbone for almost everything. So if you really stop and think about business as a whole, what do you need? If you ask any CEO, hey, Alex, what's the number one thing you need in your company? And Alex is going to say, sales. I need more customers. That's the number one issue with every company is volume of sales. There may be 1% that's overflowing. Everybody else needs sales. So what do? I build sales. What is marketing? Marketing is the beginning of the sales process. So we get in, we design it. So yes, absolutely. Old school is the backbone for all of the companies. We provide the marketing, the finance, the business acumen. We get in there and we handle all the taxes and everything else. And then the companies need to perform on their own. So I don't care if I own a lawyer's office. Guys, I've had a real estate office. I've had multiple insurance offices. It doesn't matter. It's just business. I'm not on the roof swinging a hammer. Why would I swing a hammer? I would suck at that. I would cut the board all kinds of weird ways and it would never fit. That's not my strength. So you take strengths and weaknesses. And I want to hone my own skill set to where I'm focused on my strengths, not my weaknesses. So when I bring somebody into, I don't care what company it is. We may have somebody and I employed them for the construction company. We're building a house and I find out that he's better at marketing. I'm sucking him over here into the marketing department. It doesn't matter. Put people where they're going to flourish and then help them grow that. So I view myself as my same problem.
Measure once, cut twice, right? That's the saying. No, I'm kidding. It's this.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Measure twice, cut once.
Yes.
On some of that, can you tell me a story? Do you have a story when you hit a wall and how you got around that wall?
Ooh, a wall. I'm going to say this. To me, everything's a wall. So every discussion, every conversation, every challenge that comes my way, even the good stuff, it's all a wall. And I'm always looking for ways to scale around the wall, not over it. I want to figure out the best way, the smoothest way around the wall. I like walls. And that's going to sound, I'm going to reframe the word wall to chaos. All right. And in my world, if I don't have enough chaos, I'm not happy. Now that sounds strange, but I have learned, I'm almost 51 years old and I know how I tick now, finally. And the one thing is I need enough stress or I'm going to go create more. So, and that sounds strange, but that's where I end up with more companies is because I got bored. So I like enough chaos. Right now it's a little bit too much chaos, but then I'll go hire some more people. They'll take some of the chaos off me and then I'll go invent more chaos. So those walls are good. People, I hate this about a lot of companies. So I see this and it happens time and time again. We focus on what people did wrong instead of moving people from where they're not successful to where they can be successful. We don't get out there. So I had a guy out there, he was screwing up. He was building a wall. He didn't know what he was doing. I had a 20-year-old walk into my bowling alley and I had just put in brand new floors. And my foreman comes in, he says, here, 20-year-old, go paint this wall. 1 hour later, we come in, my lead comes in, he looks at it, he's like, holy crap. The guy's over here smearing paint on the wall. He doesn't know how to use a paintbrush. He didn't know that you needed to put paper or plastic down on the floor. He didn't realize you need to check your shoes for paint before you walk all over the place. He's never been taught. This is a leadership issue. So looking for those kinds of situations, and you gotta go train him up. He made a mistake, but he didn't know he made a mistake. So I'm always, very rarely, now if you're doing drugs, that's a whole different conversation. And I've employed many drug addicts in my years, but putting them to the side, putting drug addicts to the side, that's a whole different problem. In general, people do not want to screw up. people do not come to a job to screw up and to hurt you. They come to do a job because they need money and they want to do a good job. Most of the time, we just don't train them right. Most of the time, we throw them into a floor and we say, hey, paint this wall. And we didn't give them the plastic. We didn't teach them how to use the paintbrush. And then we get mad at them because they screwed it up. That's what I see a lot of people do.
Well, I like that you just turned my wall question into a literal wall. So I don't think you meant to do that. You literally took a when did you run into a wall question and you brought a wall example. So
yeah, I can give you another.
If we're giving out points on the podcast, you got a lot of points there. So that's pretty good. What would you say? You were talking about the chaos. What's the difference between you and someone who can handle the chaos?
The difference between me and somebody that cannot?
Yes.
Oh, that's really easy. Here's the leader, if you want to call it that. I'm going to say boss, because I don't believe a leader can do what you just described. This is a boss. This is a manager, somebody that's managing people and time. They're going to yell at you. They're going to belittle you. They're going to talk down to you. That's not the way I would have done it. You should have done it this way. And those are the kinds of things that makes me want to cry, quite frankly, because you're not elevating people. That's not what we're here for. We are here to move people up, not pull them down. So when those things are going on, like you're saying, that's the problem. The problem is the leader.
On that note, then,
did that answer the question?
Yeah, no, I'll actually extend it. On that note, do you have any like personal philosophies or fall into any existing philosophies?
Sure. A lot. And in fact, you already named one a moment ago. Measure twice, cut once. That's a really good philosophy. Here's my biggest one. It's L number 10. If you get done with the end of your week and you have not had fun, you screwed up. So everything that we do, why are we doing it? Why do you do? Oh, well, we need money. Do you really need as much money as you make? Or do you just like it? Why do we do what we do? So if you're not having fun doing it, why are we doing it? Money is not even real. Money is just something that the government's conned us into thinking actually has value. It really doesn't. It has no value. We trade our time and energy for nothing. So why not trade it for fun? So you're asking me these questions about chaos and number of companies and everything that's going on. It's my fun. What do I do for a hobby? I work. Why? Because it's fun. I like building things. I like seeing people grow. I like things going smoothly and things are great. That's what I enjoy creating. So it's fun. If I'm not having fun, I employ somebody else that will have fun doing what I'm not having fun doing.
That's what I was going to ask. Have you ever gotten to a point where it wasn't fun anymore? And then how long did it take you to realize that, or what made you realize that? And how did you switch?
No, several times. Do you think every company I've owned was successful? Heck no. I mean, I've owned a couple restaurants as an example. Worst thing I ever created in my life. I hated working with the people. I just shut the companies down and walked away because I knew, and after a very short amount of time, this wasn't my gig and I didn't enjoy it anymore. So I just quit doing it. It's okay to fail. In fact, if you're not failing, you're not going up. If you're not failing, you're not going up. You need to fail, but you need to learn. And that's the way I look at it. So it's like if restaurants, Rusty driving down the road last week and we're like, hey, that's a cool idea. Let's open another one of those restaurants. What the heck am I thinking? No, there's a rule. No more restaurants because it's not fun. So fun. That is my number one philosophy. I want to go have fun with all that I'm doing. And if I'm not, hire somebody else and let them go do it so that I can get back to having fun.
I think that Epicureanism would be the closest But I don't know too much about Epicureanism, but I think they're all just like, doesn't matter. I'm just having fun, whatever that counts. Like, that's kind of their philosophy. I might be totally wrong with that, but now I'd like to learn a little bit more about your marketing firm, Old School Marketing, because part of our goal with the podcast is, to build this community among our guests that promotes referrals and support. So I just want to dive into the company a little bit. First, just want to understand, like, how did you guys get started? How did you get your first customer?
Good one. Well, I've been in sales and marketing my whole life. I mean, you can trace that all the way back to my mom and dad's time frame. That was sales and marketing. Even when I had a sandwich board around my neck and had to talk to every dang person that walked by the restaurant and tell them to come in. That is marketing. That is sales. How did I get my first customer? My first customer was myself, so I'm not going to include that. My first customer was my buddy. And I called him up and I was like, hey, I'm doing this thing with direct mail. You want some? And he bought 3,000 mailers. And to me at the time, that was a lot of money because I know what it took to actually do it. So my first customer was literally just a friend that thought it was a good idea too. And we tried it and it was a success story. And it just kind of grew from there.
Where do you guys get most of your business now?
B2B is the best way to describe it. So if you're talking about lead acquisition, I can answer your question about at least 3 ways. Lead acquisition, number 1, direct mail. So we are hard. We are not an easy company to get new customers with. Marketing agencies in general, it's B2B and it's just tough. It's a hard sale. I work with like a fractional CFO service. And it's just as hard as we are to capture the attention. Because a lot of times I'm talking to people like Alex, and we're all scatterbrained, and we're all doing 5 billion different things, and we don't have time to talk to Rusty about marketing. So I'm a really hard case study, and we've cracked that case. So with Old School, we practice a lot of weird things. So I'll give you some examples. So for me, for my company, and what we do for ourselves. There's a lot of moving parts there. So of course we're doing direct mail. I pump out 20,000 direct mail pieces a month just for Old School, targeting the CEO market. Everything's handwritten, and then it's got the right offer and the right mailer in it, along with a business card that goes out in the direct mail. We've got social media campaigns that are going on every day. We post between 10 and 20 pieces on social media a day. Is my goal. I'm trying to increase and leverage that because there's a whole new world coming in the social space. So volume is picking up from social. And so no bumping. I don't bump post anymore, especially on Facebook. That's just trash. Facebook has literally screwed up their algorithm to where it makes no sense to me anymore why they're even in business. So I don't spend money with Facebook anymore. YouTube and Google are the 2 big platforms at the moment as far as that goes. As far as actually running AdWord campaigns. And it does vary based on the type of company I'm working for. But for Old School specifically, I spend money mostly on social with LinkedIn, YouTube, and Google. And so we manage our own AdWords. I've got staff on staff. We have entire projects in place. We're big in the solar industry. So we actually, we run AdWord campaigns that are backed with, it's a very complex process. So are you familiar with Apollo.io by chance? It's a brand new AI. What's that?
I was saying I live on Apollo.
You're familiar with it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we use Apollo, and I'm not afraid of saying it either. Our customers pay for Apollo directly. That actually is their software. And then we come in and we manage it with American labor. So our staff comes in, we're running the Apollo program for our customers. So you can just imagine you've got emails that are going on, you got text messages going on. As soon as I get a live heartbeat and something feels good, a direct mail piece goes out to that customer. On the side over here, we've got our own CRM. We got email marketing that's starting to flow out to the same people that is going on in Apollo. And so all of this is starting to work together, and you're starting to feel the synergy that's going on. Leads are starting to pop in, and then we're getting appointments through Apollo, and we place that lead with our customer. and the appointment is then set. So that's like the solar industry world. I do a lot of centers of influence type marketing. So for instance, let's say you're an insurance agent and you're wanting to go after mortgage brokers. It is a great way to build your business together. Okay, so mortgage brokers, they're going to pull in 10, 15 homes a month per mortgage broker. At least that's what it was before COVID. Today it's probably 3 because nobody's selling any homes, but we're still developing COI. So I do really crazy stuff like, and this is not a good example, but I buy prosthetic feet, like real life-size ones, and then I handwrite on there the name of the agent, and I put their cell phone number on there. And then I send them a sheet of paper, and with that sheet of paper, it's going to say, hey, I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. And they got a prosthetic foot that's sitting on their desk with my phone number on there, and I can guarantee it's going to be there 3 months from now, because who sends a freaking prosthetic foot to an office? So it works great. That's just one of the crazy ideas that we do. So I'm always trying to develop big relationships in different ways. So that's some of the fun stuff. Gosh, we use Google and YouTube to create sales funnels. That all pumps right into our CRM, which then flows out, and everything is bucketized so that your sales team comes in and they're literally watching the funnel that's coming in. So where did this lead come from? How interested were they? Everything is color coded and marked pretty. Sales rep jumps into our CRMs and action starts happening. So you've got all these different triggers and inputs. And here's the big one. Don't put all your money in one place. I'm the direct mail guy and I love volume, and I'm telling you, don't put all your money in one place. You can't. It doesn't work. It takes today, like if you're doing business with a B2B world and we're going after a CEO, I think today it ranges anywhere from 30 to 50 touches to move from somebody, so I'm saying, I don't know who you are, to a yes or a no. Touches. I don't mean phone calls. So that means email marketing, social media, direct mail, phone calls, whatever it is. It takes 30 to 50 touches to get somebody to say yes or no. So that's kind of the world that we're living in today. And it takes a lot of energy. So you need somebody that's more aware of what's going on and how to grab all of that and pull it all together. That's why I'm a CMO, because I like building that strategy for people and businesses.
You know, I used to kind of talk about this a little bit on the podcast, but I started in sales, and I always say that sales is like a bunch of one-liners, as in ABC, always be closing. Like all those little things is I don't know, they all seem to gravitate towards sales. And one of the things that I learned was it was 8 touch points to a sale. And you actually just moved that 8 to 50 to 80. But more important than the number, I think, is actually just this assumption or this understanding that you're not going to close the deal after one call. And I think what that does is it allows you to attack that call a little bit more strategically, and not just like say, okay, what's your budget? Do you want to close this right now? And it allows you to really take that 30-minute call, which can be very short, and just understand the pain points, and then get that follow-up call on that call. And then now you have 2 touch points, and now you're sending them emails and all that kind of stuff. So I think, you extended, you literally times 10 my number. But I think even more important than the number is just this understanding that it's not just 1 or 2. And then you got to attack these people.
Well, I did not dissect your number, and here's why. Okay, you are sales, and sales is in front of marketing. So marketing has already done. It depends on the niche. Some niches, if you're dealing with CEOs, I still think I'm closer to 30 to 50. Other niches, it may be 15 to 20. So it depends on the market that we're going after. But from your perspective, from a sales perspective, you've already got 20 to 30 touches before you ever got the lead. If the company is being driven correctly, marketing leads sales, and we're developing the right paths, we're getting everything going in the right directions. By the time you got it, I've already nurtured this lead. You got a warm body on the phone. You're not cold calling anymore because you're in sales. You're not a telemarketer. So from your perspective, you're right. It's 8. From my perspective as a CEO, I'm marketing 30 to 50. No, it's probably 58. It's probably 60. It's probably 80, because once you move it from marketing to sales, sales has a whole nother drip campaign that takes to getting somebody to move to yes. So
I love that. I think that was a great point. A few more questions about the business. I know you've kind of answered this in a few ways, but just to kind of get a very succinct answer, what services do you guys provide?
What services? Marketing, let's just say I can almost do anything. So our bread and butter, we do direct mail. We employ a lot of humans, and we actually handwrite everything from full letters to envelopes. That is our mainstay. I employ about 30 robots currently. Those robots are specially trained just for my company because I'm very picky on how things look. We do Google AdWord campaigns. We have CRMs. We have telemarketers. I have salespeople. We do crazy marketing campaigns. I have a CMO service where we actually employ CMOs, fractional CMOs for companies, and then we'll build anything. I mean, I've done billboards, I've done car wraps, I make swag. I've got 30 years history making T-shirts and hats and crap. Oh my! So there's not much that we can't do to help a company grow and elevate. But I really do look at it that way. I like to have a conversation with my team, my customers. And I like to find out, what are you trying to do? Or rather than just go buy direct mail or buy AdWords, no. Let's think more globally. What are we trying to accomplish, and how do we get there? And how do we drive this freaking train down the tracks and not come off the rails? Because if you just go direct mail, that's going to be a mistake. So it takes a lot of that. And if people will listen, I can help them build that marketing for their company and actually see them grow. So that's a lot, but
when a customer asks you for something, do you ever say that it's something that you don't do or you don't offer, or do you always try to find a way to serve them?
There's two answers to there's a yes and there's a no answer to your question. I'm going to answer the no. No, I don't want to work with you. There's two types. One, I don't like you. And truthfully, it goes back to my fun statement. If I don't like you, I don't want to work with you. I don't care about the money. So if you're mean, you're rude, I don't care. I don't care how much money you want to give me. I know at the end of the day, I'm going to hate myself. So the answer is no. And here's another thing. My old boss used to teach me this. He said, if you don't want to do business with Alex, just price it so. So if it was $100 that it was normally going to cost you, well, it's $10,000. And then you're going to tell me no. And so I don't really say no. I just price it so that you're going to say no. So that's how I want to handle a no. On the yes side, so let's say, Alex, you came to me and you're like, hey, I want to run ads in movie theaters and get it up on the movie theater screen. That's a horrible idea because nobody goes to movies anymore. But let's just say you did that and you want to get into 12 people that are watching Star Wars for the 5th time, because we don't make movies anymore, right? We just make trash. So all of that, we're going to get in front of these 12 people that are at the movie theater. I'm probably going to subcontract that to somebody else. I probably won't make a dime, but I'm helping Alex get in front of his 12 people at the movie theaters. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess to kind of switch around that question, how can you work with other marketing agencies, or what services can you partner with other agencies? So in other words, what do agencies tend to reach out to you for?
Okay, this is a hilarious question, but it happens all the time. Marketing agencies call me and they're like, I don't know how to market my own company. I'm really good at working for other people, but I suck at handling my own company. I had one literally this week tell me the exact same story. So marketing agencies are a big part of what I do, because it's kind of like you're in the weeds, but you can't see the weeds. Mm-hmm. And so you got to hire a third party to come in and help you. Heck, I've even done it to some degree. I end up firing all the companies because they don't do what they say they're going to do. But I try to employ other people and it doesn't work. But for me, that really is my bread and butter. I like working with other marketing agencies. I work with direct mail companies that I do direct mail for, to kind of give you an idea, because we know how to get in front of the right people. Your data is huge. Getting the right data, getting the right market segmentation is a massive part of direct mail, or even Google or YouTube. It doesn't matter. You can be throwing away so much cash by not driving your audience correct. Developing your data up front, your skill, your audience, getting that fine-tuned is a big part of what we do. And I don't care what marketing medium we're working on. That's a massive part of what we do. We buy data from every major industry out there, or major data broker out there. And we literally have billions of records in our own SQL servers that we maintain. So.
Perfect. On the flip side of that, what services do you tend to outsource to other marketing agencies typically?
There's some printing that we can't handle. And like, I don't make magazines. I don't do high gloss stuff. A lot of that is done with very large machinery that's worth tens of millions of dollars. I'm never going to be that guy. So anything that's too large, we don't do. If it's, I don't like building websites, but we will. So there's some websites we will build. Others I just outsource to other companies because I can tell.
To DevNoodle, right?
Yeah, let somebody like Dev do it, or I've got a couple marketing agencies that build websites for a living, and let them go do it. There's a difference between like marketing strategy and actually trying to build it, and then the art side of marketing, which is building like a website. I just don't enjoy it, so we outsource all that stuff. We have creative, but I don't do a lot of it. I like to outsource the creative side because that's more the artistic side, and I managed art people my whole life. But it's not fun to me, so I outsource that segment. I guess it comes back to, Josh, if I'm not having fun, it gets outsourced. So
no, I think that's a great rule. And then just two more questions left. Yeah. As we come to the end, if you had to teach something to other marketers, what would it be?
Sometimes we get so focused on whatever it is we're trying to sell that we don't have our customers' right heart and mind. As marketers, sometimes we need to pass on a job. Sometimes we need to give the job to somebody else. It doesn't feel good, but it's the right thing for the customer. So I would say slow down and think about what you're trying to do and for who you're trying to do it, and make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons and that you're going to accomplish something good for your customer. If you're not, bow out. Get somebody else to do it that's going to do a better job. You can subcontract and still make a decent margin, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with subcontracting. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know, Josh, I'm just not going to be the best at that. But you know what? I got a buddy, and he's really good at art, and he can make your picture, and he can do it very well. Would you like me to get a hold of him and see if he'd like to work with you? There's nothing wrong with that at all. So know your own strengths and weaknesses, and make sure you're doing for somebody else a good job. Don't take a job on that you're not qualified for. And I see it all the time. Mm-hmm. I see marketing agencies all the time screw people because they don't know how to help them. They just need the cash flow. They're just going to take the job, and then they hurt the customer, and then they never want to do business with them again. And then they got a bad rap on their sheet. And then they get to talk to me, and they're like, well, I got screwed by this person and this person and this person, and how are you going to be any different? And that's what we're doing to ourselves. So as marketing agencies, do us all a favor and stick to your swim lanes and do what you can do well, and do it well, and then subcontract or give it away.
Yeah, and again, I just want to share that is the entire goal now of this podcast is finding out which projects that our guests have that they're not able to, maybe they can do 90% of it, but they don't have a photographer, they don't have a direct mail or they don't do any direct mail. Maybe we know someone in our network that that we've had on the podcast that we can help out with. So
it comes back to you, right? Like you make the referral, you subcontract someone, they remember that.
Yeah. Exactly. And if you got a skill set, shoot me an email, because I'm always building my network of different people that do different things. And I don't care what it is. If you're doing the same thing I am, that's great. Guess what? I'm getting too many customers. I'm going to need help. And so I subcontract all the time. So what a lovely problem.
And then last question is any book, podcast, or newsletter recommendations?
Book, podcast. Ooh, look up my buddy Dave Buck. He just published this book, The Time Optimized, and really good, especially if you're in your later life. So if you're 50 plus years old. Take a look at this. Dave Buck with Reverend Susan Rose wrote this book. Really good. Dave did a good job. He just did a podcast. This book was just released on Barnes & Noble. And I'm pretty pleased with that one so far. There was another question in there, Josh. What was it?
No, just any kind of recommendations on that side. So no, that was perfect. And then as we come up to the end of the episode, I just want to give you an opportunity to mention how people can find you and anything else you'd like to end with.
Go to my LinkedIn profile or Old School Marketing, and it's OLDE, like the old English way of spelling Old School Marketing. My email is rusty@oldschoolmarketing.com. I'm readily available and here to chat.
Awesome. And thank you so much for coming on the show. And for those of you who have learned something new from this episode, please consider giving us a like or a follow so we can continue getting the highest quality of guests. And as always, thank you for listening. Rusty, man, you nailed the episode. I'll give anyone that made it this far into the episode. I never really say the questions that I'll ask ahead of time, but I told you just to make sure that you were going to answer something that I was kind of intending, and you nailed the way that no one would even know which the questions those are because
that's true.
You so smoothly did it. So thank you again for a great episode, man.
Good deal. Good deal. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Thanks for listening to the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast. I hope you got a ton of value out of this episode. And before we go, I just want to thank our sponsors, DevNoodle. DevNoodle provides marketing agencies with the ability to offer their clients unlimited website design, build, and management services with fixed monthly plans. If website design, development, and maintenance is holding your agency back from growing, please reach out to us at devnoodle.com, where we make websites easy for you and easy for your clients. devnoodle.com.